Welcome to the Pocket Size PR podcast, the podcast where we get to meet professionals in the communications and marketing industry for them to share their insights. I am your host, Charlotte Nichols from Harvey and Hugo, and I'm delighted to be joined by Katelyn Young, who is founder of Juin. So Katelyn, please can you define PR?
PR. So the way that I say PR is the way that a brand, an organisation or a person shows up within not only the media, but is also how it's perceived as well.
Lovely. Love that answer. What do you think the most important element of a comms strategy is?
Clear, direct, and also to be authentic as well, because I think a lot of businesses fall into the trap of being someone that they're not, to be perceived in a certain way. So I think a comms strategy, even though it still has to be really clear, really direct, but it also needs to be either you or your business or your brand.
That makes a lot of sense as well. And so you've just set up your own business, Juin, I hope I'm saying that right. Could you tell us a little bit about your career journey to setting up your own business?
Of course. So my career journey really started when I had my daughter quite young. And then I decided that I wasn't going to let that stop my kind of career journey. I still wanted to continue on that and bring her along with me. So I finished my A-levels. And then as anyone finishing A-levels, you're like, what do you do? Where'd you go? And I picked A-levels because I didn't know where I wanted to be or what my passion was. So A-levels give you that good gauge of trying different things and what have you. And by God, I bloody did. I did business, I did law, I did accountancy, I did media, I did graphics. And I didn't fully complete all of them. I think you're allowed like grace periods and stuff like that. But because I did nearly 3 years of A-levels, I did go complete quite a few. But I think that gave us a good edge to be like, right, I want to go into this. And I loved media and I loved decoding things and really looking at something and why did they do this or why did they do that and what have you. And then, but I also love graphics. So that them two paired, because obviously I work in marketing now and in brand, but them two paired really started my passion for that creative industry. And then once I finished my A-levels, I worked part-time at Boots. And even though Boots is not marketing related at all in terms of what I was doing, I was working on the counter as a number 7 girl. I loved it. I love it. So I would loved all my customers. But that gave me an insight of that marketing world because of the conferences that were going on and new product development. So I was really heavily involved in them. So if we were bringing out a new serum or what have you, the account manager at the time of the number 7 counter would be like, oh, what should we do with this? How we're going to promote it in the store and all this other stuff. And I'll be really involved in that and I loved it. And then the real spark was when I went to my first number 7 conference and I was blown away. And I think I just loved as soon as you walk through the door, it was held at a stadium, you walk through the door, everything was set up. It was like an events night. It was like a black tie event, but not. Everyone was in the number 7 uniform and like there was a big stage and people were talking on the stage and all of this other stuff. And the way that I was marketed and the way that it was positioned and the way that it kind of presented and got all excited and all this other stuff, I fell in love with the idea of not only marketing, but that PR side and kind of that comms around like the MPDs and all of this other stuff. My spark was just then. But so I was at uni at the time. I did obviously my uni alongside my job at number 7. And I did marketing and business management at Sunderland University. So that kind of paired really, really well. I think having that, I always said, because I worked in customer service when I was younger, that I found an appreciation of the customer first and asking questions, and especially the number 7 way. So shout out to number 7 for kind of teaching me the psychology of this. So you would go through, if you were like doing a foundation consultation, you would ask them, what's your skin type? what makeup do you like to wear, all these other stuff, and how does it make you feel? So I was asking all these questions before recommending them a product, and that's marketing in a sense.
Absolutely. Establish the problem, find the solution.
100%. And I based my whole life's work on that. Not the number 7 questions, but the whole asking questions first and then providing solutions to them, because the best marketing is the marketing that you don't feel like you're being sold to. It's actually just solving a problem.
Listening.
Listening. And I think not a lot of people listen.
No.
A lot of people talk, but not a lot of people listen. But yeah, essentially that was the real driver. And I kind of started thinking about when I was working in Boots, and I was thinking about these things when I was obviously doing my degree and all this other stuff. I was thinking about these things and then applying it to my essays and all this other stuff. It gives a wider appreciation to marketing as a whole. And then I decided to throw an internship into the mix. Nothing what I was doing in terms of marketing wise. It was more business development for a digital brand, Ready Salted. Simon's amazing. He was so lush in my time there. And then I was doing that. But yeah, so 3 years later, then I had my degree. But a lot of students at that time, you're like, you've got this degree. Where do I go with it? What do I do? What do I want to do? In marketing's such a diverse industry. You can go anywhere. You can do anything. And I think when I was starting to think about it, I was like, right, let's have a starting point. What's my passion? What's this? What's it? And I love property. And I was like, and I actually applied for this place before I went into uni, but I had an interview and I never even got a call back. But then I was determined. I was like, oh, well, I'm going to work there. I think it was to prove a point that I didn't get a call back. So I was like, no, it wasn't. It was because I kind of really wanted to work for this company and what have you. So this is a lot of people actually might get something from this, because I never see this now in a world of CVs and everything looking the same and all of this other stuff. We don't really see this now and what have you. And at the time, I thought it was a bloody good bit of work. But anyways, so I decided I'm going to take matters into my own hands. I'm not going to wait for a job to come up. I'm going to go find one. I'm going to go and make one for myself. And I had that determination, be like, right, starting point properly, let's go. Like, I was still young. Like, I knew that's a good place to start. So I created my CV into a property listing, right?
Brilliant.
So it's actually really clever. I'll have to actually send it after the podcast, because it's like when I looked at it again this morning, I was just like, was actually quite good. Like, I was proud of my younger me. So it had the price of the property was the salary that I was looking for. The address of the property was my tagline. So I think it was like 23-year-old marketing and business management graduate road or something. Brilliant. So it was like my tagline. Then the property summary was obviously my summary. Yeah. Then we had the pictures at the bottom was like all my achievements. So like when we won the best of Boots and all this other stuff. So it was pictures of my little achievements. Yeah. That was the little flip slide. And then the floor plan was actually like my education, because it's a foundation of your career. Yeah. So and my education, so it had like my A levels, my degree, all of this other stuff. In this, I actually had a floor plan with all of this other stuff. And then what else was it? And this was I thought was the most clever part, to be fair. You get APC certificates on property listings. So I had an APC certificate there, and then it's always like what the current is and what your potential is. I had my current here and the potential there, and then I put a little statement on the end saying, this is my current because I've just graduated uni, but this is a potential if you give us a shot. And like literally sent it to the founder. Got an interview, got a job straight. There wasn't a job there, and there was a job made. It's
the creativity, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yes, and that drive again, just to like
thinking outside the box.
Yeah, thinking a little bit differently. It gets people far. It's a really good thing to mention. If anyone's looking for careers, particularly in marketing, PR, you need to be creative. You need to be stand different. Out. We take CVs all the time that are just the same. You know, I always say like create a video or something. So again, you can express your personality a little bit more, but it's just, yeah, don't always do the same. We once had a chocolate orange sent to us and it said, tap to unlock my potential or something. We did. And then there was a CV inside as well. It was really good. And we got a chocolate orange. Yeah, really, really good.
Win-win. would have been, I think you've got to, and I think because, especially in marketing, I'm not gonna lie, it is saturated because everyone, like, I think it's that Emily in Paris surge, isn't it? Like, that's what people think what marketing is. It's not. It is glamorous in some aspects, but it's not all glamorous. And I think really people want to be creative, but they don't know where to kind of put the creativity. So then they go into like marketing, but then they might not want a specialism. So then they'll go into general, because I'm a generalist marketer. I've got a wide scope, but some people go into specialisms and all this other stuff. And it's so beautiful to see. But you need to be different. And I think that's not just on a CV, but in your career, in your life, you need to be able to stand out from the crowd. And I'm not saying be the loudest in the room, because that's not always the best choice. Be yourself and find a way on how to show yourself through everything that you do.
Yeah, really good advice. And then, so you obviously entered the marketing world quite young. Do you feel that just marketers in general, but also especially young marketers, do you feel they get enough respect?
So this is part of the reason why I launched Juin, because of this, the whole marketing being a colouring in department, marketing not holding value, marketing being the first thing that businesses cut when they are cutting back costs. And actually it's the thing that they need to be bloody investing in because, and then pushing it forward. But I understand that as a marketer. But I think the moment that we start thinking like, well, they should know that, let's make them aware. Let's show their awareness. Let's show marketing's impact. So to go back to your question, do marketers get enough respect? No, but it's not necessarily a easy answer to, they don't get enough respect because of this. It's not. It's very complex. And I think a lot of marketers are expected, there's a lot expected from, especially young marketers, and then leadership will get frustrated when they don't deliver or nothing comes of it, because one, they might have just graduated out of uni and they might, I want this and this. They don't know they haven't got anyone to guide them. And I think marketing is one of the only departments where they'll very rarely have like a marketing manager or a head of or a marketing director or a CMO, because it's just seen as like, we'll just get an exec into there and then they can do it all and they can be a one-stop shop and a multi-purse pony. Like, no, like that's not how it goes. And I think that's where this stems from, that respect, because they get so frustrated. But then marketers, it's so damaging for marketers to be in that situation, because they haven't got direction, they haven't got anyone to teach them, they haven't got anyone to lean on. And I think when you look at it from a wider perspective, there's frustrations on both sides of the coin. It just needs to be, the gap needs to be bridged. Hence why I created Juin. Yeah,
and I think that's wonderful, and a great gap to identify and solve that problem, because it's easily solved, really. It's a communication issue. But I think as well, a lot of young people are placed into marketing roles just because they use social media on their personal lives. They're just like, you know what you're doing, do it. But it's a very different thing using it personally to in a commercial setting. And it's probably a role where you don't get that much training relative to it, because also, and then business owners, managers, they don't know enough about it, its potential. And almost like the training has to it has to be upwards as well as downwards. This is what it can do. What do you want the business to do with it? And then, exchange that information.
100%. And I think because you rightly said that marketers will be like, I run this social account or what have you, and then just because you've done well there doesn't mean that it's going to do well in more of a commercial setting. And I do get it. Yes, you've got a talent, and let's harness that talent. Let's not discard that talent because you've managed to grow, say, I don't know, Instagram, and you've managed to grow your Instagram and you've got all this engagement and you've got a really good thing going here. But let's harness that talent. Let's put you through the proper procedures, and then let's show you how to implement this in a business setting or for a brand or what have you. And I think that's why I think the training side of things is really important. And that's part of the reason why I've become a coach at Fabric as well, because of the fact of marketers don't always, like I said before, don't always have that line manager where they can refer back to or they can talk to, or they've got that guidance. They don't always have that. So like that coaching side of things and learning how marketers how to think independently and learning how to push back and say no, that is the most important tool ever a marketer could ever learn, is how to say no but in a respectful way. So don't just say, no, I'm not going to do this. No, we can't do this because I think we should do this, this, and this. This doesn't align with the strategy. And that also goes into my another statement of you need a strategy. And that's why marketers are set up to fail when they're just given a laptop and says, right, do X, Y, and Z. But you're going to equate to nothing. There's no results going to be gained from that unless you've got a strategy, unless you're aligning it with your business goals, your business objectives. You're going to go nowhere. You might get a viral post or what have you. I've also got an ick with the whole viral post. It does my head in. But you might get a post that does really, really well or what have you. But what's that equating to? Are you getting any sales from that? Are you getting any revenue? Are you creating brand awareness? Or is this actually damaging your brand because you've got no strategy? Yes. So part and parcel, again, like it is all about the awareness about marketers in the industry and the value that it holds. It's about bridging the gap in terms of like them business objectives and aligning them with the marketing delivery and objectives. And then this is where so many marketers go wrong. It's the reporting. It's the metric tracking. It's the reporting. It's the telling the story with numbers, because your CFO or your CEO, and if you're sat in a boardroom and you're like, oh yeah, we did this post and did this, did that, they're going to say, yeah, and if you can give them numbers and think about the numbers, also think about the funnel and how that brings it down. So how many visits to the website did you get off this, or what have you, what's that converting to, all this other stuff. People don't track the metrics properly. They don't tell the story properly. They don't report it, and they don't align them numbers to that overall business goal, because business is about money at the end of the day. Let's be real. Unless you're a charity, unless you're a non-profit, it's about money. And let's just cut everything else and be real. It is. So if you want to show how you're playing into that end goal, if you've got no metrics to track it, and I'm not saying monetary metrics, because marketing can't always have that value attached to a monetary metric, because it goes
PR's even harder.
Yeah, exactly. But there still needs to be some sort of metric that you need to track in order to say, right, well, we did this and this is how we're getting to this goal, and then this is playing into this.
And you've got to speak their language, which is what you're saying. You know, deliver the results in a language that makes sense to them, their bottom line, essentially.
Do you know one book everyone should read, and a little recommendation, and it helped me a lot? The title's a bit weird, but it's called Surrounded by Idiots.
Okay.
So you need to read the book. So it talks about your personality types. So you've got yellow, blue, red and green, and they've got different personality types. So for instance, like a CEO might be red and fast paced and need information like quick, where your blue is more methodical, analytical. They need to ask questions, you need to answer the questions, all this other stuff. So then if you sit in a boardroom and you've got red, green, yellow and blue, what you're communicating everyone isn't gonna hear it in the same way. So it's really important to understand, right, what are the personality types, learning your stakeholders, how they speak, and then making sure when you are delivering a presentation or you are delivering a report, it's got a bit of something for everyone, so everyone can understand exactly what you're saying.
That's a really important point, and it all comes down to that communications element, you know, so that's where the lines blur between PR and marketing. It's how you communicate everything. So do you literally try and label someone, maybe just in your head or writing it down, they must be a red, so I need to make sure this is ticked off in the presentation. They're a green, so this bit's for them. Is that how you'd approach it?
100%. I mean, that tick list is great. I'm going to take that because it's all a mental thing with me. And I think because I'll give you an instance. There was one time I delivered this big presentation. I was really impressed with the results and I was really excited to share it. But then they weren't sharing the same excitement. And instead of taking it personally and thinking it was a me problem, because I know, you know how good your results are, I took that away and I really thought about it. I delved into that, and then that's why I started reading the book, and I started working on personality types and how to talk and how to communicate to stakeholders and how to be direct but also informative and all this other stuff. So I took that away. I really, really delved into it, and then I changed the presentation. I will literally, it was the most rubbish presentation on this actual earth from my eyes. Wasn't pretty at all. But literally stripped it right down to exactly what needed to be said. And the response was crazy. Like, they were like, oh my God, yeah, like, we can really say X. And I'm like, that's the difference between saying a lot to saying what matters. Do you know what I mean? Within
Absolutely.
a business.
Knowing your audience, adapting your communication style to what matters to them really, really helps. And how important is PR when you're launching a business? Because obviously you're just going through that process of launching your own.
I think it's incredibly important. That being said, I think what businesses need to have a strategy before then going into your PR and your side of things. But launching a business, especially if it's a really small business, yes, you might not have big budgets, but there's ways on how you can get involved with kind of that PR side. But to get you on, if you have no credibility, so PR offers an immense amount of credibility and outreach and awareness for your business brand or product. If you've got no credibility when you're starting a business, then yes, you can kind of be chipping away and what have you. But if you solely rely on you doing the outreach, instead of broaden it up to that, then PR strategies, then you're gonna wear yourself thin. And that's something that I've had to really sit with when launching Juin as well, because we're only starting to get into PR and kind of test the waters with that. But I want to do it in a way that's authentic, and I show up as my authentic self. I don't want to be forced. I don't want to be pushed. That's all my strategy will ever be as a marketer and also as a person. I'm not a push. I'm a pull. So I want to be a beacon where they think, right, okay, actually, I've got a question I'm going to ask Katelyn. I don't want to be in people's faces.
Yes.
You have to, essentially, to be a business, you have to always be at the forefront. But there's different ways to do it. I want to be authentic, and I want to show up show up in a way that's what's right for me and the business.
Definitely.
And not follow someone else's journey or rule book. Like, write your own rule book of
Absolutely.
what matters.
That's why I think podcasting is such a good PR tool, because you can really show your true personality, and almost you have control in how you deliver the narrative, whereas sometimes in the written word it can be edited by journalists and things like that, whereas you can't always get your personality across, whereas this, you lay out who you are, what you do, how you do it, and then it's up for people. If that matches with their goals, they will come to you.
100%. And I love podcasts, not even just because I'm on one and it's great being here, but listening to them as well, because you feel like you start to understand a person, I think, because the body language, the way that they talk, the stories, we're humans at the end of the day. And call me old school, but I hate Teams and stuff. Well, let's grab a coffee. Let's have a face-to-face chat. So I think with podcasts, it allows, especially video podcasts, it allows you to have that, like, even though it's not in person, you feel like you're having that meeting one-to-one, isn't it? And I think that's something special, and I think there's something so beautiful about podcasts where you can have that scope, but like accessible to you, so you don't actually have to book a meeting with this person or whatever. You can tap into some of the greatest minds on this earth via the internet. How incredibly incredible is that? Do you know what I mean?
It's incredibly incredible.
It is incredibly incredible.
Way of describing it.
I don't think people don't utilize it enough. I feel.
And you be so productive as well. Like while you're driving, learning. While you're walking or in the gym, learning. Or not even just learning, but just witnessing other experiences. Yeah. It's so powerful.
It's so, and I think also, like, when you've got such a busy day to day, like you said, you put it on the car, but then also it helps me. So I'm trying to get myself back into running, and I have your podcast on, and I'm so concentrating on what's going on in my earphones that I forget about being
the pain,
knackered, and the pain and what have you, and I just like, and by the time I finish my run, I'm just like, oh, I've still got 30 minutes of the podcast. I'm going to go sit in the garden, and I make that time for myself because I'm so in tuned in this podcast where I wouldn't have before, because I would have been like, right, I finished my run, let's go and do the to-do list, or go and do the washing, or do this, where I'm like, and I need to listen to I need to know what the answer to the question is.
I'm totally the same. Okay, so we'll end on, what is your top PR tip?
My top PR tip, I think I've just mentioned it before, but stay authentic, stay direct, and stay to your cause. Don't follow someone else's rule book. Follow your own and do what feels right, because PR is so varied. If you just pick what's right for your business and how you want to show up and stick with it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Katelyn. Nobody can do business with you if they don't know about your business. But nobody will do business with you if your business's brand doesn't have trust and credibility. PR is the secret sauce in the marketing mix that can help achieve this and so much more. If you're interested in how PR can help your business, contact Harvey and Hugo, harveyandhugo.com, or email info@harveyandhugo.com.